What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. As always, sponsored by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. It's here, Super Bowl week. It's here. Last week wasn't even that long. It was a pretty quick week considering we're veterans in the Super Bowl process at this point, Eagles fans. City of Winners. Yes, PHLY. We are all over the Big Easy. All of our Eagles guys are down there. Jamie Lynch also is in New Orleans right now. He's probably sleeping. I've already texted him. He did not reply back. So Tyler and I are going to bother him. What we're hoping is that he wakes up and then we get him on immediately. So he's like laying in bed, half hungover, still asleep. So we're going to try to check in with Jamie, even just to see and hear from him at the beginning of Super Bowl week. Which is, it's awesome. It's here. It is officially here, and tonight is opening night. We'll get into all the particulars. We have all week to talk about the game. Absolutely insane trade. Of all the things, it was not on my bingo card that Luka was going to get traded to the Lakers for AD when I woke up on Saturday. Was it Saturday morning or Sunday morning? I don't remember now. Sunday morning? Yeah. I'm waking up and being like, is this real? And kind of going back to bed. Because, the bathroom break is when I saw it. And then waking up in the morning and being like, all right, did I really just read that? I did read it. We'll talk about that, some other NBA trades as well. Driving to work this morning, I don't know what it was. I got on the road a little later than normal. And it seemed like every a-hole in the Delaware Valley was driving on 76, even on 422. Like, if I have a tractor trailer in front of me, it's actually an Ace tractor trailer. Ace is the place for it was in front of me, right? So I'm giving them like 15, 20 yards. It was a little bit slippery this morning. There was some icing last night up by me. And like, I got this guy on my ass. Like, bro, where do you want me to go? Like, I get it. You're in a hurry. But, like, what do you want me to do? Pass this tractor trailer on the left, or you want me to go up and try to force the tractor trailer to the right-hand side? Sorry, I'm not doing that, right? So now he's riding me. Tyler Zulli, I don't know what it's like on 95 in the morning. I can imagine that there's an equal amount of a-holes, but for whatever reason, there was like 10 times the amount when I was on the road this morning.
Yeah, it's
I don't know what it was.
95 specifically is weird because it's just the same stopping point every day because it gets into that cattle chute where the road work never ends, right?
Never ends.
But people want to all of a sudden start like lane jockeying in that cattle chute where it's like the solid line. Legally, you're not supposed to change lanes in those spots,
Which
right?
you do when you can.
Of course, right? But you got people that are doing this, right? Like they're driving at the Indy 500 at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, I haven't even had my coffee yet. Man. Just stay in your lane.
I'm not, like, I'm sorry that you're running late or you're crazy, but, like, I'm all for driving fast in the left-hand lane. I get over when people want to go faster than me. Like, listen, I don't know what to tell people. But for whatever reason, people were extra nuts this morning. Also, before we get into the sports, the plane crash that happened in Northeast Philly at Cottman and Bustleton, and that was a spot where, like, I grew up in Willow Grove, which is almost like a suburb to Northeast Philly. I was in that area all the time, starting in like high school. Steve's Princess Steaks is right there. Artifacts is right there when I got a little bit older. But like that was I don't know how more people didn't die. It's a miracle that more people didn't die. And it looks like a freaking war zone where that plane blew up. But Jesus, man, like that was crazy coming off of what happened down in DC just a couple days before that, and then right here, like just crazy. So hopefully, people that were affected by that are okay. But I know Black Gritty was up there flying his drone around. Guess some people asked him to fly his drone to look for debris and things like that. I saw you put it on social media, but it's a couple pictures that he put on. So it does look like a war zone in that one block. So it's just crazy times, crazy stuff's going on. All right. So the Chiefs continue to be favored by 1.5. That was on the Bet Parks app. I looked again this morning. And it is the start of Super Bowl week. So a lot of the media is already down there. The Eagles landed yesterday. It is opening night tonight, 6 to 11 p.m. from the Superdome. And all the players will be there. And it's just it's a whole thing. I was at the previous 2 Super Bowls. I was at the media night at our opening night in Phoenix, which was just, like you're walking around, so you're credentialed. Fans are in the stands watching everything, but you're down where all the action's happening. You're credentialed. And, like I'm standing there trying to see Nick Sirianni, and Adam Schefter's standing next to me, and Rap Sheet is walking by me, and all the craziness, all the offbeat reporters and the foreign reporters, and you get the little kid that's asking Jason Kelce questions, and it's a really, really interesting night. So I'll be curious to see what it's like tonight down in New Orleans. But this is the official start. Like, our team is in the Super Bowl. Are we too knee deep? Does it not feel real yet? Or is it just because we've been there a couple times in the last however many years, 8 years, that it's not as big of a deal because, hey, we're here. We've arrived. This is what happens when you're an elite NFL team. I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. But yes, the Eagles and the Chiefs in less than a week now are going to be playing for the Super Bowl. And I got to tell you, at the beginning of the week, the start of the week, I don't think I could be more confident with this team. And this isn't overconfidence. This isn't where I'm like, oh, the Eagles are winning the game. And no, here's why I'm confident as an Eagle fan. I think we have the better team. Chiefs are a very good team. Talent for talent, when you line the two teams up, Eagles are the more talented team. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the more talented team wins, because the Chiefs have a knack for finding ways to win close games. But when you look at from top to bottom, from offense, defense, the Eagles are the more talented team. And I feel great about this. Here's the difference this year as opposed to when they lost to the Chiefs 2 years ago, 3 years ago. 3 years ago? 2 years ago. Yeah, so 2 years ago. And did anybody else catch that Super Bowl over the weekend? I was at a restaurant. I was at McGurk's that's up by me in Royersford now on Sunday afternoon. Tyler, did you see any of I felt like that I saw the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl 10 times over the weekend without looking for it.
So I found it on I was flipping through the channels. I found it on NFL Network one time. And I had caught up just when the Eagles had tied the game at 35.
When I was watching,
it was 35-27. They tied the game. Jalen Hurts with that grown man run for the 2-point conversion.
Yes.
And I went, that's enough. Click, and I shut it off because I just wanted to live in ignorant bliss that they had tied that game, not knowing, obviously knowing what had followed.
Yeah.
But I turned it off at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to turn it off. So my kids are asking, did they win? Is this the one they won? Because, I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old. So they're like, they don't necessarily remember all the details. But I watched it. I watched almost the entirety of it. And then I watched it a bunch of other times that it was just on. And I came away from the game being like, damn, they really had an opportunity to win that game. They were really right there. The Eagles were as good as the Chiefs. And Jalen Hurts was really spectacular. The Miles Sanders fumble in the first half, really I had forgotten about it. And it was crushing. But the Eagles were right there. It was a really, really, really entertaining, well-played game between both teams. Both teams were deserving to win that game. But you come away from the game being like, damn, missed opportunity. I was on the air that night. I was doing national radio. I had a national radio show for the better part of 5 years. And I went from doing the overnight shift on the weekend, which was killing me physically and mentally, killing me, to where it's all right, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday night opened up, which was much easier to deal with than working an overnight shift. But my first shift was Super Bowl Sunday. So at 10 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday, I went on the air. And I went on the air midway through the fourth quarter, at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And when you're on the radio, you're not allowed to do the play-by-play, but I was doing the play-by-play. So when you think about it, most of the stations that you're on have the actual play-by-play. So who knows how many people were actually listening to me, because a lot of times I'm now being preempted for the game, so they're not getting to me until after the game is over. So I'm more or less just for me, I'm going through the fourth quarter, and the Eagles tie the game. And it's like, wow, 35-30. And then you're slowly watching. It's like, oh, no. No. And it gets down to where if the Chiefs get that first down, they're now going to be able to kneel on it, and the game's going to be over. They kick a field goal, and the game's over. And the James Bradbury penalty, that's what that was. So I'm watching in real time, and then the flag gets thrown, and it's like, oh, no, that's going to be the game. And it was. And who was it that almost went in for a touchdown and then had the wherewithal, the smarts to go down and at the 1 yard line? Because if they go in for a touchdown, now the Eagles are going to get the ball back. Because they were still reacting to the penalty. It's like the Eagles were trying to let him get in the end zone there wisely, and they were smart not to do it. And and watching it over the weekend, it just brought me back to where I'm like, they're going to lose the Super Bowl now.
It was Jerick McKinnon.
It was McKinnon.
Went down at the 2. Yep.
Smart, very smart play, headsy play. They didn't, and the Eagles didn't get a chance to get the ball back, which, you know what, is like the biggest damn shame because they deserved to have it back, and that Bradbury penalty was BS. And I actually went back, and I'm going to put something out on Instagram or on Twitter, kind of looking at all the different angles and going through it. And Greg Olson on the call was like, and they're showing the replays, and he's like, oh man, like you could just tell he's like, okay, he had his hand on his back and he grabbed him like a little bit, but are you really going to make that call in that spot, which had nothing to do with the play, by the way? The ball was incomplete. It wasn't going to be complete. That was third down. There's no freaking way in that spot that you get that call, that you make that call. Bogus. Did he grab him? He did for a second. It didn't affect his break. Did he have his hand that was out? It didn't affect anything. So watch it. It hurt. It hurt so much watching that, and it made me so angry watching that the Eagles didn't get a chance, that Jalen Hurts didn't get a chance to get the ball back. You tell me as an Eagle fan, Tyler, you tell me, you have confidence that the Eagles are driving down and at least getting a field goal to tie that game up and it's going to overtime? The way the Eagles were rolling at that point.
Yeah, and in that spot, there's no doubt about it. I think that we've talked about it plenty. That was Jalen Hurts, probably his best game of his professional career. That offense was moving up and down the field. And by the way, if you look back at that game, it was a game that the run game wasn't particularly good. The Eagles were winning, or were
in the
succeeding
air.
through the air.
Yep.
So yeah, I have no doubt about it. The Eagles would have found a way to go down and get points if they score. I don't know if they win the game. I don't know if they lose in overtime, but I do believe they go down and have the ability to at least settle for a field goal to tie that game and send it to overtime. I do. Yep.
And this portion of the show brought to you by Glatt Hair Restoration, glattmctr.com, 610-980-4000. I have my scheduled haircut tomorrow at Razor Bar. I'm woofing a little bit. But yeah, Glatt Hair Restoration, you can see. Great results right there. So now you have the residual anger of what happened with the penalty, and then the freaking turf and the sod father. And I'm not going to say that did it affect the Eagles or the Chiefs more or whatever. Like, I never really gotten that whole thing, but the fact that they put this old man in charge of a turf, this is the damn Super Bowl in a climate that doesn't rain, and they screwed it up. Like, I don't blame the sod father, or I do, but like, did it affect the Eagles more than it affect the Chiefs? I'm not going to get into that discussion. You could say that based on them rushing the passer and everything else. I never got into that. I got into NFL, how the hell do you screw it up to where you have a field that is that bad? And you have a 95-year-old dude named the sod father, who happens to be a Chiefs fan, by the way, in charge of the field. Unbelievable. So a lot of old memories came up here. But you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to give a game ball, a retroactive game ball to Jalen Hurts for how well he played in that Super Bowl. And our game ball is proudly brought to you by our friends at Xfinity Mobile. Join the millions who have switched to one of the fastest growing mobile services, Xfinity Mobile. He's spectacular. For everybody that wants to say, like, oh, well, I don't know if Jalen Hurts can throw the ball well enough. Like, he did play in the Super Bowl and had objectively the best game of anybody in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I do believe that Jalen Hurts can throw the ball well enough. That's what I'm saying with confidence going into this game. I'm not going to be some yutzo that's going to come out and guarantee a win or say I'm going to get a tattoo on their back if the Eagles win the game. I mean, who would do that? right? But like, I feel great about this game. Howie Roseman said this last night. I don't know where he said this, but I saw it quoted in something I was reading this morning, talking about Saquon Barkley. He said he has been a huge player in person for this team, and signing him was not a hard trigger to pull. I think I'm being consistent with what I said in March. Was extremely confident in the player and the person. I'd like to say he's exceeded expectations, but he's always been one of the best players I've ever seen whenever I've watched him, and I've always known about the kind of person he is because it's not hard to find that out. So I'm really not surprised by any of this, and I don't say that in an arrogant way. It's based on who he is, nothing to do with me, because this is who he's always been, and I'm just glad everyone gets to see that. And I thought it was a really, like, obvious and fair quote, but also, like, they knew he's a great person. They knew he's a great teammate. They knew he's a great player. But that doesn't mean that he's going to have the type of a season that he did, Saquon Barkley. He's exceeded expectations. No one's predicting 2,000 yards because it just doesn't happen, right? And it happened here in Philadelphia. So the Chiefs can bottle him up. The Chiefs can throw the kitchen sink to try to stop him. That opens up the passing game. And we've seen what he can do. I don't think Jalen Hurts needs to have the game of his career. I've seen a lot of people already say this, that Jalen Hurts needs to have like, this needs to be a Jalen Hurts game. No, it doesn't. A Jalen Hurts game this year has been play well. Don't turn the ball over. Let the defense. Jalen Hurts needs to make a couple of big plays. I need some big plays in the passing game. I don't need 300 yards passing. They can stay with what's gotten them to the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl. That's all the Eagles need to do. Saquon Barkley can literally be the Super Bowl MVP, and that is not something that happens very often with running backs in the NFL anymore. They don't make it to the Super Bowl when they have these type of seasons. So this has been unbelievable. It really has. Nothing from Jamie Lynch. Start text bombing him. There's no excuse. He's down there on business. He can be awake at 7:17 local time. It's an hour difference in New Orleans. We need that face, even if it's in the dark, laying in bed.
This is very much feels like a Howard Stern.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a radio bit, we would just start calling him. Can we just FaceTime him and then put like put it on here to where we can hear it? That's what we may need to do for our locker room segment. Just start calling him, and then I can just put it on speakerphone. Tyler,
he might. There might be some choice words, but
well, listen. If he curses, it's not the FCC, so we can't get. We also don't have a dump button that we can't do it. So, all right, that's what. So, in the locker room segment, stay tuned for it. If Jamie doesn't respond back, we're just going to call him live on the air. We won't put the video out there because I don't know if Jamie sleeps in the nude or not. We don't need him being nude on the. But yes, that's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do coming up next segment. All right, the Luka trade also coming up next segment for Anthony Davis. Shocking, but it feels like the Mavs are being clowned a lot by this. And like the further I get away from the shock of the trade, I'm not going to say it makes sense, but the Mavericks clearly have more information on the situation that we do internally, right? And yet they decided that it was better for their franchise to move on from a guy who's in his mid-20s and just took them to the finals last year. There has to be more information that's out there. And the more and more you think about it, the more and more you can see what the hell happened. So that's coming up next segment, and we're gonna bother Jamie until he wakes up. All right, deal? All right, that's coming up right after this. Philly with John Marks. Don't go anywhere. 2-2. 2-2. All right, so we're in February. You know what that means? That holiday shopping when you're getting your new statement. It's like balance due. Boom. Uh-oh. Never feels bad when you're charging it until you actually get the statement and now you need to pay. So if you have a credit card balance and it's weighing you down, what if you could pay it off faster and zero interest until 2026? It's true. TrueMike Financial is offering zero interest on balance transfers for 12 months, so all your payments can go towards reducing your balance, not paying interest. Here's the play. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card to take advantage of this amazing offer. But you have to apply by February 28th, 2025. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchases with TrueMark Financial, you can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, Equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate. Hooah. There you go. All right, so let's talk about Rothman. If you've got an injury, maybe it's like, oh man, like my knee is so messed up. When that happens, true mark. What if you're just have achy joints, hands cramping, your back's out of whack? Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, we're talking about specialized care. It's been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission's high quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. So each Rothman doc's laser focused on their specialty. Hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part, and they're right in their backyard. Rothman Orthopedics, they're specializing in you. All right? If you're a runner, maybe you just like to be active. You can't do it anymore. Because it's like, yeah, we talked to Glenn Foley, and asked him about golfing because he's a great golfer. And he's like, I'm just too banged up to do it anymore. Well, if you go to Rothman, they can take care of that for you. I had a shoulder injury, frozen shoulder. For a year, I was like, it'll get better. Didn't get better, right? That's why you go to Rothman. Because if you're an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, yeah, you're probably going to have to go. What if you just get, like, you can't do the things that you love doing anymore because of your knee pain, your shoulder pain, your elbow pain? Maybe you like golfing. You can't do it anymore because it's like my shoulder just, it hurts too much afterwards. That's another reason to go to Rothman. You don't have to live like that. It took me one appointment with a Rothman doc, and I never even went back for a follow-up because they wrote the script. I went into physical therapy for 6 weeks. No MRI, no cortisone shots. Boom! Better. Shoulder hasn't given me a problem. That's been a couple years ago now. Rothman docs, not just orthopedic care, PT, MRIs, everything you need. It's a one-stop shop. Visit RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to learn more and to make an appointment today. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to learn more. Hooah! We are back. So nothing back from Jamie Lynch. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna give him one more text. Like, you keep it, because like normally, let me see. Jamie Lynch. I'm gonna calling you soon live on the air. All right, I gave him the heads up because I like on my phone. There's certain people that will call. If someone calls, it won't be silent, or if someone texts, it isn't silent. Sometimes you'll hear my dinging on my phone. So my mom, my sister-in-law, and my wife all get the ding treatment or the calling treatment, because if there was ever an emergency, that's who would be calling me, or that's who I'd need to talk to. Otherwise, it's just silent. So Jamie may very well have everything on silent, and he's not hearing this.
So I'm telling you right now, I can tell you exactly what this is. He knows he's got a lot of work coming up this week. He also is a dad, so he's probably enjoying sleeping in, right? Not having to wake up the kids to go to school or anything like that. He's probably snoozing today.
There's no way your body has you still asleep at 8:23 unless you're out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I can say, which
I don't know.
Listen, I'm not saying that he's wrong for that. All right, this is a work trip. We need him. Opening night is tonight. We need him on. I'm going to give him a couple more minutes. All right, and then boom, we're going to call him. We need him on the air, and all the PHLY Eagles guys are down there, and it is going to be an unbelievable week. I can't wait for this. And Jamie is the director of content for PHLY, which he is now. Like, he's down there to help coordinate, to create content himself and all that stuff. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing week. All right, so right now I was looking over the weekend, and I have like, it's funny when you work in this business, you think you like people that either don't know or they should know better reach out to you. They're like, hey, you gotta, I have a hookup for Super Bowl tickets. Sure. How many you need? You need 2? How about 4? You need 4 Super Bowl tickets? Sure. Absolutely. You need jerseys or anything like that as well? I have this room at home where I have unlimited tickets and jerseys and other stuff, whatever else you need. No, I don't have Super Bowl tickets. No, I don't have a hookup for Super Bowl tickets. Go on Game Time like everybody else. No, I can't get you tickets. But I was looking to see, because I get like, people are like astonished that Super Bowl tickets are so like, oh, they're really expensive. Yeah, no kidding. They're really expensive. So right now, for a pair of upper level tickets, section 622, corner end zone, $9,826 on Game Time. Right now, that's what you got. $98.26. And that's all fees included. It's not where they try to trick you. I'm not saying Game Time does this, where you think like, oh, it's only $3,000 a ticket. Nah, man, there's like service charges and things like that. So you're looking at $10,000, close to $10,000. I don't know if the play here is to wait, because I've heard people say that you wait and once tickets aren't going, then they drop prices or whatever. But right now, you get in for $10,000. So if you're headed down there and you're waiting, I'd love to talk to somebody that's like waiting or whatever. But it's $10,000 to get you in, and like good luck with accommodations or whatever. Like if you're just trying to make a last minute trip,
that's the thing. It's got to be somebody who has the hotel. They're down there, but like I am somebody who needs to know what my plan is going to be. I would get very, very anxious if I was waiting and waiting and waiting to see if these tickets drops, because otherwise I'm just spending
down there.
I'm just spending 7 days in New Orleans, which is not an inherently bad thing, but like the whole point is to go to the game. If I don't know I'm going to the game, I don't know.
Well, you know what?
I don't think I could make that trip not knowing.
And New Orleans would be a cool city to be in. I mean, I guess I'm not the hugest fan, but like being in Minneapolis and not going to the game, it'd be like, all right, I've want nothing to do with that.
Negative 12 degrees. Right. I'm going home.
Like Phoenix being at the game, like I would have wanted, if not going to the game, I wouldn't have wanted to be in Phoenix for the game. New Orleans is definitely a little bit different from that regard. But to your point, aren't you pot committed at this point? If you're making the travel arrangements, the time arrangements, you're going down there. Like, I don't even know where you would get it. Like the hotels are booked and stuff. I mean, are you like at 45 minutes away in an Airbnb or a Vrbo at some, like you're paying $100 to sleep in somebody's house or something? I mean, I don't.
You get an extra room in somebody's house at that point. Yeah, I think if you have any inkling that the team is going to the Super Bowl, you either have to do it through a travel group, or you have to have these plans. Like you have to have booked these by like the divisional round.
And you're just speculating that it's going to happen.
Assuming they're going to make the playoffs, right?
Well, because I know how much it costs if you don't have to. Well, so like the NFL, if you're a partner, like with WIP they had, or if it might even be with Westwood if you have the game, Westwood One if you're broadcasting the game, but like they have opportunities for limited hotel rooms because they get a block.
Sure,
but still, you're not paying regular prices at that time.
It's funny too that you bring up the people text you and call you about asking you for tickets, because I don't know about you, but to me there would be like a hierarchy of people I would bring to the Super Bowl if I had a ticket. And the random friend that texts you is like, they're like 400th on the list. Like to me, and I'm going to say this with no disrespect. There's no disrespect to no one else in my life. But if I had one additional Super Bowl ticket, there is zero question in my mind who I would bring. It would be my dad.
Right.
My dad is the reason I'm an Eagles fan. It's the reason I got into football. He is number one on the list. It would be me and him. But like you have to be pretty darn sure of yourself that you're John Marks's like go-to buddy if you're asking for tickets to the Super Bowl.
Well, and it's always somebody that's like not a longtime friend, but like somebody that I may like in an acquaintance. But it's like, oh yeah, I know John. I'm friends with Johnny. Yeah, you're friends with Johnny Marks. Yeah. I'll text him. I'm sure he has you have a better chance because you're willing to spend money. I had nothing. All right. When I worked for the flagship station, I had maybe a better chance for me to get a ticket, but certainly not for you. All right, well, listen, we have our locker room segment right here. Live on Philly with John Marks, we're going to call. Because I'm just saying, Jamie's an adult. There's no way that his body should allow him to, like, worst case scenario, he's 3/4 asleep in bed. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way he can be totally asleep. And I've texted him now twice. So let's do our locker room segment, which is brought to you by TrueMark Financial. That holiday shopping, you have that credit card balance. It's weighing you down. All right, you can pay it off faster. 0% interest on balance transfers for 12 months. Don't pay that interest, people. You can reduce your balance. And that's what you do. You're like, all right, I have $5,000, 12 months, 0% interest. You just have to pay off $600 a month. Do the math. It's how I live. It's how I'm still alive, is with balance transfers. That's right. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details. And to apply today, TrueMark Financial, federally insured by NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate. All right, you ready? So first of all, do the chatters agree he's going to answer? Or he's not going to answer. What do we think, Tyler? Is he answering?
I personally don't think he's answering you. No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
All right, let's get it on speaker. Here we go. Jamie Lynch. Can we? How many drinks do you have had to have to not be awake at 8:30? Or how late yet? Man, are you kidding me?
Hi, you reached James.
Told you.
It was minus 300 that he wasn't answering. Based on him not. So has he seen the text and he's just like, F that? Or has he not seen the text yet?
It's certainly possible he may have told us to, go bleep ourselves. It's certainly possible.
All right. We'll have to check. Well, we'll check back before the end of the segment. All right. Perhaps will have woken him up, but we will check back before the end of the segment. Maybe you think what's also possible? Because I know Jamie's a big fitness guy. That he's been working out in the gym for the last hour and he hasn't seen that we've been trying to get a hold of him. The hotel has the gym. So he could be on the treadmill or the stair. Or is he a Stairmaster guy, Jamie Lynch?
It's funny you bring up the gym, the hotel gym. So the day that I got married, I stayed at the hotel block the night before. Because obviously, you don't stay with your your soon to be spouse. So I stayed at the hotel block the night before, and it got to be like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I was like, I was nervous about the day. Sure. I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, dude, I'm not just going to lay in bed and just sit here. So I went to the gym, the hotel gym at 4:30 in the morning, the day that I got married. And I spent like an hour in the gym. I lifted a little bit, did a little cardio, and then I went back. And because I had done that and I showered, and then I finally fell asleep. And that was the only thing that let me sleep was the hotel gym.
Yeah, I've never worked out in a hotel gym, and I never will. I had no interest.
I don't blame. I mean, especially if you're on vacation, I don't blame you if you're on vacation.
The idea that I'm going to work out on vacation or for a work trip, absolutely not. There's a 0% chance Jamie even knows where he may know where the hotel gym is. And Sean Funnyman puts up there in our chat at 7:30 there. He hasn't been in New Orleans for 24 hours. Your body doesn't adjust. It's 8:30. In his body, I don't care what time it is there. His body says it's 8:30. Unless he's hammered her out extremely late, he is in New Orleans, so it's understandable. And I would have maybe do the same. Listen, we'll check back with him before the end of the show. Luka Doncic was traded. Yeah, and he's in the locker room. He was traded. We woke up to it. People were shocked, as was I, because you would think a superstar that's not even arguably, he's a top 3 NBA player. He led the league in scoring last year. He nearly averaged a triple-double. His team was in the freaking finals. He gets traded a couple months later. I mean, Jesus, it's crazy. So once the shock wears off, it's like, well, what are they doing in Dallas? And really, like, there was other players, and there was one draft pick or whatever, but Anthony Davis now goes to Dallas. Like, why would the Mavericks make the trade? And I've seen a lot of people like, this is the dumbest trade ever. It's the worst trade in NBA history. Like, the further I get away from the trade actually happening, I guess the more and more it makes sense to me that Luka is a fat slob who isn't taking his conditioning seriously, who isn't taking his craft seriously. And there obviously is a lot that's going on with him, with the organization, with the team. He's due to make a $300 million plus Supermax contract. And there's talk out there that an ESPN reporter came on the following day and said that the Mavericks were scared to death that he was just going to walk because he's got one more full season under contract, and then he's a free agent or he's a player option, which he's not going to cash in because every team in the world would want him. So why would Dallas, coming off of literally coming off of being in the finals, so they've accomplished much more than than Joel Embiid has, or a lot of these superstar players have, traded him essentially straight up and for some other things for Anthony Davis. Because they would obviously feel better with Luka not being involved long term, and they take AD right now, and they feel like they have a chance to win something right now with Kyrie and AD and some other players. All right, like they're going to have to deal with Luka if he's able to. I'm not going to say turn his career around. He was just in the finals, but like remaining in the finals as a winning player and can stay healthy and all these things. I think it's a number of factors, from his health to his professionalism. The fact that you're getting AD back, and I don't think this is being talked enough about. He's a great player. He's an all-star starter. So from a Lakers perspective, this is a no-brainer because the Lakers weren't winning anything with AD and with LeBron at this point. But it gives them the next chapter, and it gives them life after LeBron. LeBron's going to play at least another year, I think maybe even more, with the Lakers. And can LeBron turn Luka into the pro he needs to be? I don't know. But like with Luka, you can make a case next year that they could win. They could win if he turns back into the player that a lot of people think he can be. Makes sense from their perspective. From the Mavs standpoint, if they thought he was going to leave, if they didn't want to supermax him because of the professionalism and the type of player that he is, the type of person that he is, and they know that more than we do, I mean, isn't it telling that Dallas moved on from him? I have to imagine that there's not idiots that are running the Mavericks. They just made the finals, right? Like, their general manager, he's a former Nike executive. He has relationships all over the NBA. I mean, if this was a bad franchise, if this was a terrible franchise, like, all right, they got muscled by the Lakers, or like they totally freaked out and they made a bad trade. I mean, who would you rather have? Tyler, I'll ask you this. What would you rather have? A trade centered around 5 first-round draft picks and pick swaps and a couple of players, or a starting NBA All-Star? Because honestly, for people that think they didn't get enough in this trade, I hear you. Maybe they did. Who cares about those draft picks? Unless you're getting a draft pick from a team that's going to be a top pick, like the number 1 overall pick, or a chance to be a top 3 pick. I mean, is Dallas any worse off this year? And then next year, could they build a team that could get back to the finals? I'm not telling you that I would have the balls to trade Luka, but I'm also not in Dallas every day. I don't know what's going on internally with the franchise. It was obviously a shocking trade, but there has to be a lot of reasoning, and there has to be stuff out there that we don't know why they made the trade. To where when it comes out or we find out more information, because I would expect a lot of information being put out now by the franchise. I don't know. I mean, I feel a little bit different about the trade now than I did after it initially happened. But
yeah, I think the first thought in everybody's mind is when you see a player like Luka Doncic get moved, or a player like Anthony Davis get moved, it's wow, that's surprising. When it happens that both are in the same trade, it's like a mega shock that these kind of moves happen. So to answer your question, it's a difficult question to answer because it depends on what your franchise is looking to do next. Right. You know, you can only put it in the terms of, I guess, what the franchise wants to do in the following couple of years. Because I've always been a big believer in when you trade a superstar player, the likely return that you're going to get is going to be underwhelming compared to the player that you're moving. And I say that, and I don't mean like numerically you could get picks and numerically you could get money match players, right? But
what are you really getting?
When you move a Luka, or you move a Joel Embiid, for example, or you move a whomever, right? And you get 5 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks, if the team that you're getting those first-round picks from is going to be a team that's sustainably good, then it becomes more difficult to swallow because you're taking pick 24, 26, 28, whatever the case may be. If you get them from a team that it doesn't work out, right? Like when the Celtics made that big trade with the Nets, and the Nets were bad because Kevin Garnett was cooked and Ray Allen was cooked, and the Nets were bad, and it allowed the Celtics to draft players like Tatum and Brown and things like that, then it becomes a much more worthy trade. You don't have the benefit of hindsight to know what the answer is going to be. So I think that when people say they didn't get enough out of this trade, I think nominally speaking, Luka Doncic is a better player than Anthony Davis. You and I agree on that?
Of course.
Right. So when you see Anthony Davis in one first-round pick, people think that's not enough. So the question is, would you rather have the potential for 4 or 5 first-round picks or the understanding you're getting a pick and a all-star caliber player like Anthony Davis?
Yeah, it's really like it's about trading or not. Anything after that, it's just about trading or not, because you don't trade players like that. You don't trade 25-year-old players like that. So regardless of what you got, you're never going to get what's perceived as equal value on the surface to it.
Well, and I think the point that you make too, I think is the pressing point that we're going to find out, probably not over the next 24 or 48 hours, but maybe over the next couple of months. What was going on behind the scenes that this had to happen? Because last year they were in the finals. Last year they were a team that was, they probably overperformed a little bit from their seeding standpoint, but they went to the finals.
He averaged 32, 9, and 9.
Right. Is a premier player in this game. So people immediately talk about the conditioning. Are they worried about the conditioning? People talk about what's the locker room like? What's the camaraderie or whatever like? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's centered around, but I do think we probably will find something out in the next couple of weeks that say this is why the Dallas Mavericks were willing to move on.
I just can't imagine there's not some type of something. Like there's gotta be more to this. There's gotta be. So Jamie Lynch is he was in the shower. So he's gonna join us next. Not from the shower, but so he's gonna jump on live from New Orleans. Jamie Lynch coming up right after this on Philly with John Marks. Don't go anywhere. There we go. All right. So listen, like we all know where we're at. And I was talking about it this morning. The tractor trailer on the road was ace, and it was very responsible. It was driving at a safe rate of speed. It was in the left-hand lane. There were cars in front of them. Like I'm not going to try to drive the ace tractor trailer off the road, but ace is the place for you, for me, right? Like if you need something done in your home and you're completely pathetic like me and you can't do any of it, right? Ace Hardware Home Services is there for you. Whenever you need them. So let's say that you're like, hey man, like this heater's not working efficiently. Where should we go, right? Ace Hardware Home Services, plumbing, electrical, whatever you need, Ace Hardware Home Services is there for you at acehardwarehomeservices.com. Maybe it's just maintenance, right? Maybe you need equipment installation. Maybe it's Sunday in the winter and your heater just went kaput, right? Ace Hardware Home Services for your next project, right? The power of the Ace brand with the most trusted providers of everything, right? So acehardwarehomeservices.com gets you started on your next project. Service you can trust and satisfaction is guaranteed. They'll make it right no matter what. acehardwarehomeservices.com. Check it out. All right, Glatt Hair. Jamie Lynch is coming up next. I'm not gonna send him to Glatt Hair Restoration, mctr.com. He's very attractive with the bald head. All right. But Glatt Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. If you're thinning, if you're balding, right? And like, all right, so like the camera doesn't lie. Look, my hair's looking great. Glatt Hair Restoration, right? During all stages of hair losses, leading edge treatments for prevention and restoration. All right. That includes vitamin supplementation, PRP and stem cell restoration, hair restoration surgery, laser light therapy. Science has improved since when you're thinking about like the commercials for the like where the guy jumps out of the water and it's like, oh, look at the great hair, and then you look at the before picture and he's bald, right? Like telling you, science in 2025, man, Glatt Hair Restoration is at the forefront of everything, right? Bald is now optional. And the hair team over at Glatt Hair Restoration, over 30 years of industry experience. I've known them for long over a decade here. And I was with Cheryl and Lisa and the whole crew, Jen, last Thursday, talking about some stuff. Like, what are people saying when they're calling? What are the latest things that are going on right now in hair restoration? Call them right now at 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000, or the website is glatthairmctr.com. That's glatthairmctr.com. Hooah. There we go. All right. Let's send it to the Big Easy where the local time is 7:45. Everybody's saying, but it's 7:45. It's early. Jamie Lynch out of the shower.
What's up, Johnny Marks?
Is that a PHLY green sweatshirt right there?
Yeah, baby.
That's awesome, man. Looking good.
To wreck as much green as I could down here this week.
All right, so a couple things here. I saw your tweet yesterday. You were about to get on the airplane, or you got on the airplane, and you were informed there was no drinking on the plane. Is that true?
Well, no, you couldn't bring alcohol on the plane. I used to fly every weekend. Maybe I was not paying attention, but I've never heard that at the gate announcement before, that you can't board the aircraft with alcohol.
Well, they've probably learned from previous flights of Eagles fans going places that you can let them bring it on, but they're not going to serve you because the flight attendants and everybody doesn't want that kind of heat. Guess you could say.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, so it wasn't too rowdy. It was an early flight. A lot of Philadelphia media was on there, so it wasn't like outrageous. No Eagles chants, shockingly.
No Eagles chants.
I thought I was
wow.
No, I thought I was going to be able to record the video and get it out there and get it to go viral, but for some reason my glasses are fogging up.
Wow.
I think the alcohol is leaving my eyeballs and fogging up my glasses.
So what did you do last night? Where are you staying, first of all?
We are right across the street from the casino here, right by the convention center.
The Radio Road,
right
off
off
the
canals.
convention center, right?
Yeah. So I'm meeting Zach and Bo and Julia and crew in a little bit, going to get our credentials. So yesterday I had basically like 5 hours to myself in New Orleans before everybody got here.
Uh-oh.
So I went on the Sazerac House tour. I did a little museum tour of Sazerac, and then I walked.
Hold on, you went on a scenic tour of New Orleans. You went to some of the attractions by yourself.
Yeah. What else was I going to do? Sit in a hotel room?
I probably would have elected to sleep or do nothing, but you're much more adventurous than me, Jamie. I'm literally the most boring, worst person ever. I'm surprised my wife hasn't divorced me yet. You're much more adventurous. All right, so you went on some tours. And then what?
Yeah, I did the Sazerac Museum, and then I walked up to Bourbon Street. There's a bar I always hit here called Fayette's Blacksmith Shop. I grabbed a couple drinks there, and then I walked over to my favorite jazz club here called the Spotted Cat, and I watched music by myself for like 3 hours.
Wow, look at you! And then,
it was awesome.
And then rest of the crew got in town last night. You guys went out?
Yeah, me, Zach, Bo, and Julia went out to a place called Koshan. Had a really good meal.
Oh, all right.
It was great.
All right, very cool. So what's the schedule like today? You said you're going over and getting your credentials, and then you guys are on Radio Row today, and you're doing shows, and you're doing guests and everything else?
Yeah, so the show will be the normal 2 o'clock time, 1 o'clock here. We're going to see if we can get, guests and interviews throughout the course of the day and just kind of set up shop over there. And then tonight is media night. That's circus. So we'll see what that's all about. We're going to go capture some stuff there.
Have you done Radio Row to Super Bowl? You haven't done it yet.
I've only worked Super Bowls for NBC. I've never done a radio Super Bowl.
Right.
And not that we're radio, but I have not been to a media night. I've produced shows from Radio Row back in Philly, but never been.
Wow. And now as the director of content for PHLY, he's got the big title, Tyler Zulli. So he's he's almost like a suit, but you're not. You could never be a suit because you're.
I could never be a suit.
Right. I can't wait to. So we should be following PHLY on the social media channels, because all week long with everything, but also tonight because like you had said, tonight is opening night, which is complete freaking chaos. You're going to fit right in with everything. I can't wait to see what you guys do tonight.
We're going to have Vinny with us too. So I think that's going to be really cool to have Vinny catching up with former teammates and some of the guys. So hopefully we're cranking out a ton of content here and good content at that.
What do you what's the biggest celebrity that you've seen down there so far? Anybody? Any celebs? Because listen, what you're going to see is today, Monday's very slow on Media Row. I'll just call it Media Row because it's not Radio Row anymore. But on Media Row, Monday, Tuesday, it's a little bit slow. And then Wednesday, like in Phoenix, Carrot Top shows up and you get a picture of Carrot Top and guys like that. But Any
My
big
interest in
celebrities you've seen
interviewing
so far?
in Carrot Top will be minimal to non-existent. I have not seen any big celebrities. We saw Diana Marie Rossini last night and Albert Breer at dinner, James
Oh.
Palmer, some media types, but no, nobody famous yet.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, there you go. Jamie
That's
Lynch live in New Orleans. He's about to go get his credential. He is now. Do you have to take a breathalyzer? Have you taken a breathalyzer this morning? How late were you out last night? I mean, I was texting and calling you, and you weren't answering. How late were you out last night?
Not too late. I think I was in bed by midnight.
Okay.
So nothing. I was a good boy.
What was your reaction to the Luka trade? Wow, right? Like everybody else. Like, hold on, Shams got hacked. This is baloney.
Yeah, the Mavs GM, when he sees the Shams tweet, like, no, this is real. This isn't fake. Yep. He's just like, what did I do? My mind went immediately to conspiracy theories. Like, what did the NBA do here to keep the Lakers relevant? Because now, it's just going to be like Luka and Giannis somehow. They're going to take over. It's just like, what were the Mavs promised?
Well, I mean, like, it is like, of all the teams to go to, it's like, oh, so, like, when the Showtime Lakers were officially done, Shaq ends up in Los Angeles, the most dominant player in basketball. He goes to the Lakers. LeBron ends up there, right? So like that was part of his annoying. I want to know what the hell's really going on here. There's no freaking way there's not a smoking gun somewhere out there. There's no way, like, you don't trade a player like that unless you hate this guy so much, or you're like, you know what? He's leaving, and we know it. And this is a chance to get AD and maybe win something right now. I don't know, but there's got to be more to this, Jamie.
Yeah, it seems weird. And then the old video surfaces of like the team exec pulling the beer away from him in the tunnel, and
that was
like,
Michael Finley too. That was Michael Finley.
That was Finley.
Yep.
Did you see the conspiracy theory? He's the assistant GM. I think Luka's very close to breaking his record with the Mavs points record. So maybe he traded him to protect his record.
I mean. Something like this doesn't happen because people can. Tyler and I was just talking about this. We can analyze what they got back in the trade. I mean, it's really about them willing to trade him more than anything. Because what you're going to get back, you're trading Luka, right? So, like, honestly, I'd rather have AD, and Christie's a pretty good complimentary piece, and he's young. But like I would rather, like, 5 first-round draft picks doesn't do anything for me. Because if the Lakers are giving you 5 first-round draft picks, like, they're not going to be high picks. I don't care about picks in the 20s. I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Yeah, something's up there because I don't care. Like, Luka could run on Pilsners and cigarettes and still drop 35 out there. So, like, I don't know. To your point, you don't trade a 25-year-old MVP. You just don't.
The Ryan Russillo quote on Bill Simmons' podcast where he said that he could be 300 pounds and ripping a cigarette while dribbling the ball off the court, and you still don't trade that guy. And he used an F word in there too, and it's kind of true. But
what are you doing?
Also one of the first things I thought of when I brought it back to being locally, like, this just proves that you can trade Joel Embiid and it doesn't matter, right? Like, I know there was some talent. And
there was some talk in the Discord that people were, the people that are pro trading Joel were like, man, I wish he was healthy. He could have gotten involved with this. But, him maybe not even existing, maybe being an AI hologram anymore. You can't really trade that guy.
All right. Last thing live from New Orleans. And we're going to have to talk to you again multiple times this week. What's your early feeling, confidence in the game? And we talked about this at the start of the show. I don't think I could be more confident without being like fake confident guy. They're winning this game. I guarantee it. Right. Like I think the Eagles are a better team than the Chiefs. I do. I think they're more talented. Saquon Barkley is such a difference maker over when they played him last time in the Super Bowl. And I think they can win by running the ball. I don't think Jalen Hurts needs to throw the ball 35 times and throw for 300 yards. I couldn't be more confident heading into this game than I am right now. Which is, I think every Eagle fan should have this confidence about them. But how do you feel?
I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm not trying to drown myself in thinking about the game too much. But like, ever since I knew it was the Chiefs' final whistle to now, I haven't swayed. And I think, well, like you said, the Eagles are just the better team. This is the number one defense. You have the best running back I think I've ever seen. You have an offensive line that can maul people. You know, like you have all the intangibles in your favor. Now you just need to go out and play, you know, basically turnover-free football, because the Chiefs don't turn it over a bunch, and the game's going to come down to pretty much, does Patrick Mahomes have the ball in his hands with the game on the line in under 3 minutes? You know, like, but I really like the Eagles' chances.
Some were speculating you were in the gym, the hotel gym, when we were calling earlier, which no. Scale 1 to 10, how nice is the hotel you're staying in?
I have a pretty nice suite, actually. I'm in my living room area.
You have a suite?
Yeah, kind of. Zach Berman booked these like a long time ago.
So you guys were going to go down regardless? Oh, so you have a
Zach and Bo were
little. All right.
Yeah, Zach and Bo and crew were going to go regardless. I'm here because the Eagles are here.
All right.
So I was the late addition. I would say it's an 8.5.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Because I remember when the Fanatic went to one of the Super, it might have been Phoenix. They were staying in a questionable part of town. There was some complaining. Remember talking?
No, this is yeah. I've heard some war stories. Anthony stay in Jacksonville and some horrible motels, maybe with hourly rates. But no, we are not there.
Yeah, no. Listen, sometimes you need the hour in the hotel and the no-tell motel. All right, Jamie. Listen, we'll talk to you again. Be safe down there. All right. Stay out of trouble. We'll talk to you again later this week. Honestly, we were hoping that we would wake you up live on the air and you'd be like, oh.
I was close to that. That's why I crawled to the shower. I had to
all right.
Get
well,
back
this
to
worked
life
out
a little bit.
This worked out. We'll look for you all week on the Eagles show all over the place. So make sure you're following us on YouTube and social medias and things like that. Jamie will be at the forefront of getting content as the director of content for PHLY. All right, Jamie Lynch, we'll talk to you later this week.
All right, see you guys.
All right, there he is. Jamie Lynch. Actually looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I mean, he looked much better than I thought, which is kind of disappointing.
What would you want, like disheveled Jamie just crawling back from the hole in the wall bar at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I wanted Jamie with the trash can next to him being like,
it may happen at any moment. I don't know.
Yes, that's what, but I wouldn't be very professional of him. So anyway, there he is. That's very cool. Very cool. I
will say, I haven't done a lot of work trips, you know, professionally speaking. Jamie is one of the most enjoyable people to go on a work trip with.
Oh yeah.
Cause he's a good time. He's professional. He's pro about his job, but like, we'd be like, Jamie, what do you want to do tonight? He's like, I don't know. I'm going to grab a couple beers and hang out. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yep.
I mean, he's an excellent, if you need a friend in the industry to go to a work trip with, Jamie's the best to go to work.
Jamie would be on the short list of people.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I would too. Even though earlier I said that I'm not a lot of fun. I'm also very, very little maintenance. And I like to go out and I like to stay out late. And you can always count on me with, like, if it's fun or like you want to, you know, I can ride with you till closing time or whatever. Very low maintenance. I'm not going to bother you, and I can hang. That's for sure. Everybody that's watching out there on TV, switch over to allphly.com to watch the rest of it. Hoo-ah, there you go. Sixers also lost yesterday. I'm on the show with this. They lost last night in a game that they blew I think it was a 26-point lead. Yeah, they had a 26-point lead. I'm reading PHLY Daily. Rich Hoffman puts it out every day. Just go to allphly.com to subscribe. But yeah, this was one of these games where it's like, man, like, are the Sixers just the Celtics kryptonite? They won on Christmas Day. No, they blew a 26-point lead. And they ended up losing last night, which is actually right now, if you're a 76er fan, I don't know how you're not rooting for a tankathon. When I see people like, oh, there are only a couple games out of this position, you do not want this team making the playoffs this year. Please don't make the playoffs this year. High draft pick.
No, I think at this point you're focusing on them securing and retaining their top 7 protected, I believe. You need to retain that pick at this point. I mean, I think you've assembled a team that should be successful, but has been riddled with injuries, and now you are to a point where I think you're considering that draft pick. I think you have to consider being in the top 7 to secure, or at least getting as close to it as you possibly can, to have an opportunity to be in that top 7 in the lottery.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know what? We'll save this for tomorrow because I had it on the list. The Eagles could be playing in Australia in a couple of years, which is, I think, really, really cool. All right, PHLY guys, PHLY Eagles guys in New Orleans all week. Going to be amazing. Anthony live right now, so switch over to Ant. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube live. Check us out every morning live from 8 to 9, or you can always watch at your leisure. Subscribe to PHLY on YouTube. We're back tomorrow live at 8 o'clock, Super Bowl week. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.